It seems like so long ago that we were graced with a movie from the great Steven Spielberg, but looking at that calendar, it's sooner than you'd realize, as Fabelmans came out in 2023, a film I thoroughly enjoyed upon its release. I, like many others, probably see Spielberg as the essential gateway director to really get into movies, especially if you want to become a filmmaker. I think some people write the guy off, mainly just for his mainstream appeal, but looking past that, he has some genuine, actual masterpieces in my eyes that I think everyone should at least watch once in their lives. Now this year we have Disclosure Day. The movie stars Josh O'Connor, Emily Blunt, Colin Firth, Coleman Domingo, along with many others. The plot follows a cybersecurity expert who becomes a whistleblower to reveal secrets about aliens, putting him on the run from a corporation while a meteorologist experiences a strange phenomena and joins forces with him to prove there's life beyond our knowledge. Naturally, knowing what Spielberg is capable of doing with sci-fi, I was of course really excited to check this out. So with all that being said, what did I think about it? Before I get into a review though, please do the channel a huge favor and like the video along with subscribing, as it really helps a lot. I'm going to start with the performances, leading with Josh O'Connor, who's known for his roles in movies like Challengers and Wake Up Dead Man. I think Josh O'Connor did a good job as the leading man in this movie, as much as he could with the material he was given. I think the script lets down his personal acting chops a little bit. Other than that, I think he did a good job. He was able to nail the usual whimsy a character displays in a lot of Spielberg's work, through his eyes especially. I thought he did great there. There's a handful of dramatic moments that I thought he was great in, especially at one point in the third act, which was pretty striking in the moment. And it's a small thing that I think will always stick with me after watching this. Eve Houston is in this movie too. Houston is known for her roles in movies like Jay Kelly and Bridge of Spies, which funny enough is another Spielberg movie. While Houston did an okay job of handling the material of this movie, I will admit some of her early scenes, I thought some of the line deliveries fell a little flat, and I felt like she never fully believed the material she was saying, which sadly for a movie like this is pretty integral, I think. I found her performance to be the weakest of everyone here. However, I feel like this has more to do with the screenplay, which I'll address later in the video. Emily Blunt stars as the leading actress in this movie. Blunt is known for her roles in movies like The Devil Wears Prada and A Quiet Place. I thought she was actually pretty incredible here. She does a good job of balancing a great deal of dramatic moments, along with a couple of comedic moments too, which she nailed well due to her comedic timing. As for the emotional moments she has to deal with, there are genuine great points where she's operating at full capacity here. There's one specific scene where her and Josh O'Connor's character are in a train, and it's thoroughly engaging stuff, to the point where you feel really sympathetic for her character in that moment. On top of that, there's little idiosyncrasies that her character achieves here that are fun to watch. This is in the trailer, so it's not an insane spoiler or anything, but it's genuinely impressive to see her speak the alien language, and along with that, there's little moments where she flips, I'll say moods at the moment, in such quick succession that it always had me entertained. Coleman Domingo stars in this movie too. Domingo is known for his roles in movies like Michael and Sing Sing. Coleman Domingo has limited screen time in this movie, and most of the time he's on screen, he is just delivering exposition, but he delivers it with such passion and believability that you can't help but just latch onto every word. There's a great dialogue that he delivers where it feels like as he's doing it, you can see the spark in his eyes as he does it, and it's delightful to see. His role is essentially to be the guy in the chair, and anytime he appears on screen, you instantly get hooked onto what he's doing, and at that point, I thought he stole the scenes whenever he was on screen. Colin Firth plays the villain in this movie. Firth is known for his roles in movies like 1917 and Mamma Mia. I thought Firth did a good job tackling a villain role in this movie, as he was able to realistically convey being pretty menacing in a couple of moments here. He always felt like he wanted to be a force to be reckoned with, which to an extent could lead into the territory of having him feel a bit one-note, but I feel like sometimes, very rarely, one-dimensional villains in a Spielberg movie is just kind of a given. I will admit though, I thought it was pretty entertaining when there was some moments seeing Firth get a little unhinged in a few places. Whenever there were moments like this, it was always a delight to see. Before I move on to other points in the review, I do gotta give a quick shout out to an actress by the name of Courtney Grace. She appears in the movie during the last 30 minutes and gives such an engaging and striking performance. Her character is just a news anchor, but the way she reacts to images and videos on screen feels so realistic that it really sucks you into this thing, as it almost makes the movie feel real for a second. I'm parroting a lot of what others have said, and others have praised her performance, but it deservingly needs to be praised as she did such a great job. Next, I want to talk about the plot of this movie. I thought it was pretty great to see this thing basically start as if it was halfway through the movie, despite there being so much story to tell. It made the world already feel lived lived in, as we're slowly learning about the characters and motives as to what they're doing. As a quick side note, I do think the opening shot of this movie is kinda insane. I genuinely couldn't have predicted how this shit was gonna start, even if I tried. As the movie progresses, it was fun to see how structurally things would play out, as the movie provides us with two storylines slowly merging into one. And on top of that, it does have a bunch of minor plot points for different characters, which I'm about to get into as to why it felt like this may have detracted from the story overall. For example, Emily Blunt's storyline features her having a partner played by Wyatt Russell, who is fine in the role. He kind of just does what he does normally in movies, but in this movie his character overall feels pretty useless in the grand scheme of things. I'm not even kidding, like, I'm gonna have to lightly spoil something, so if you haven't seen this movie, maybe save this to your watch later and come back after you've seen it instead. There is a point during, I want to say somewhere in this second act of this movie, where they need to make an excuse to write Wyatt Russell's character out of the fucking thing, and the way they do it is by having Wyatt Russell attempt to betray Emily Blunt's character, and he does this by telling some government officials exactly where they are, which he does by picking someone at random, and this person just happens to know down to the exact minute detail of what the address is, which I just had to laugh at because obviously realistically a moment like this is pretty outlandish, but it's that movie magic, I suppose. By the time Wyatt Russell has done the betraying Emily Blunt's character, it's gone, and he doesn't appear in the movie again apart from a reaction shot during the titular disclosure day. I want to say as well, before he's written out, he doesn't do anything in this apart from react to how Emily Blunt is acting, but I really think it would have been best to just write him out of the movie completely. Speaking of writing, while I like some aspects of this thing, I don't think the screenplay is the strongest, which for a writer like David Coep seems to be happening more and more recently. As the runtime goes on, it even feels like Eve Houston's character has less to do in this thing, despite having a good moment where she's semi-possessed, which she delivers a good performance in, making it look realistic. There is points where you can feel the runtime of this thing. As it stands at 2.5 hours, I personally think some of the action sequences, while admittedly fun, tend to drag on a little too long. I think the character stuff is a lot more interesting. The third act of this is genuinely great. I have no notes. It's masterful filmmaking in terms of tension and that trademark Spielberg whimsy too. I've seen some pretty rough takes about this regarding the alien stuff, and I think people aren't remembering the damn title of this thing. This movie is less of an alien invasion movie and more of a thriller than anything, considering it's called Disclosure Day. It's just a point in time where people are told aliens exist, and that's all really most of the third act is. It's just this, and it remains somehow to be endlessly engaging. Moving on, I want to talk about the cinematography of this movie. The cinematography was done by Janusz Kaminski, who's done cinematography for movies like Catch Me If You Can and Minority Report. I loved the cinematography in this movie. There was so many great long takes, one specifically featured in a newsroom which I swear went on for about 5 minutes, and it just kept getting impressive. I was fully engaged with it, watching everything that happened. There's also a great abundance of shooting mirrors in order to get great multi-layered images, which is something Spielberg loves pulling in his movies, and they were welcome to see here, of course. This movie does continue the Spielberg-Kaminski trend of having a shit ton of lights in the frame, causing scenes to have a pretty glossy feel overall, which I think at this stage he has had for over 20 years, which I think could have started in Spielberg's Artificial Intelligence. In some movies it works, in others it doesn't, but it did actually work for this movie, especially with the sci-fi vibe to the whole thing, as there's points where the lighting is used really well. I don't think it's the most perfect looking Spielberg movie, but it's really impressive on a technical level. I quickly want to shout out the visual effects of this movie. Some of the alien scenes are subjected to smaller screens, which is a little disappointing, but despite that, I think there was a great effort to make these scenes feel realistic. From the way the footage was shot to having the aliens in the scenes, it really worked on an emotional level. On the flip side, I thought the dreamy cabin with the animal sequence just didn't look good. I've seen some people make excuses for it, but it was just a little too uncanny for my liking. I suppose for my final point, I want to talk about the music in this movie. The original score for this movie was composed by John Williams, which if you need me to list the movies he's done, I don't understand what's wrong with you and where have you been. I thought the music in this movie was great. It's whimsical when it needs to be, in the moments that cause for spectacle, and tense during the action sequences. Every track feels like it fits the sequences it was used in. While I don't think it reaches the heights of Williams' other scores, it still holds a lot of beautiful pieces of music that were great to listen to during the runtime of this. Overall, I really enjoyed this movie. I don't think it's an absolute masterpiece, but it's nowhere near as bad as some of the other movies Spielberg has released throughout his career. There's a lot of emotional resonance in terms of its relevancy in the modern day of the year of which it's been released in. To an extent, I feel like we needed this movie right now. It's come out at just the right time, in my opinion. Sci-fi is clearly a genre that Spielberg loves making. A total of 6 in the genre that he's done throughout his career, all varying in quality and most importantly themes. I feel like if people dig a little, they will see the overall themes of this movie too. I feel like that's why it resonated with me. Also, it was interesting watching this as some of the alien stuff had me on edge, surprisingly, as it's interesting how the alien stuff in this movie is in some way linked to trauma. While this isn't implied at all, specifically in this movie, it got me thinking of movies like Mysterious Skin and Begonia, most recently, which tackles these themes in a much more extreme and distressing way. I don't think I knew Spielberg was going to go to that level, but it was always at the back of my mind. I'm giving Disclosure Day 4 stars. This is a really well acted, incredibly shot thrill ride from start to finish. It manages to be endlessly engaging, even if I do think it goes on a little tad too long. Everyone in my audience was tapped into this movie. There was no talking and no people on their phones, which I suppose shows the power Spielberg has as a director still to this day. While there's elements in the screenplay that leave some moments and pieces of dialogue to be desired, there is at least a ton of great moments that I believe makes up for it. This is only the second new release from Spielberg that I've seen in cinemas, and I feel like I'll always do my best to catch his movies in the theaters, as I feel like it's really just the best way to experience his movies, and well, pretty much any movies in general. So, if this isn't some sort of endorsement, I don't know what is. Why listen to my opinion anyways? I recommend you just go check this out for yourself on the big screen, form your own opinion, and see what you think about it.